Good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know, my name is Gary Lavelle. I'm the current president of the Westford Business Association. My final responsibility tonight is to pass the torch, and it's going to be going to Sarah Fletcher. I just need to say a couple things about Sarah. Sarah has held my hand through my whole presidency in this process, and I can't thank her enough for everything she's done for me. So I think we're going to be in good hands moving forward with the Westford Business Association. We also have to do a couple of formality things as members. But first, I'd like to thank our retiring board for everything they've done. Amy Bagosh, Dan Bush, Steve Lyons, and Patty Pichette. I don't know if anybody's here, if we can give them a round of applause. Next, I'd like to introduce our new members at large. These are nominees for an incoming 3-year term. Be Marcy Barnes, Stephanie Lanzillo, Marcia Macris, and Karen McCloskey. So we need to have a motion to approve the slate of the board for a 3-year term. Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? All right, it's unanimous. Congratulations. And I'd also like to acknowledge our continuing board members. Pardon my how I'm going to pronounce your names. Brian Alcorn and Owens, Mike Oth, MGA Consulting, Wendy Baker, Enterprise Bank, Tom Courtney, Leah Realty, Sarah Fletcher, Westford Cat, Pam Huntley, Lowell General Hospital, Galsham Gumar, Rangoli Grill, Ray Moscola, Targeting Sales Growth, Patty Mason, Family Fun Fest, Titus Palmer, Westford Real Estate, Jerry Paolilli, Jarek and Dear, go ahead, help me out. Dear Ananian. Paul Play, Eastern Bank, Cheryl Pop, Lowell 5, Cheryl Serpy, Enterprise Bank, and Bob Waskachevich, Brookstone Financial Services. Thank you all for your commitment to the WBA, and let's give them all a round of applause, please. And now we'll vote on the slate of nominees for the Executive Committee. President, Sarah Fletcher. Treasurer, Mike Oth. Secretary, Tom Courtney. Membership Chair, Wendy Baker. VP, Co-Chair of Communications, Marcia Macris. Vice President, Co-Chair of Communications, Karen McCloskey, and yours truly, Gary Lavelle, as past president. Can I have a motion to approve the slated board for a 3-year term? I have a second? Second. All in favor? All opposed? It's unanimous. Congratulations, and we look forward to working with everybody in the future on this whole team. If you have any interest in serving as a board of director or subcommittee, please contact Sarah. You know, as we're moving forward, she's gonna need a lot of help, and we do have lost some people in this past year, so we need to fill some gaps. So if anybody wants to step up to the plate, we'd be happy to have you on board. So that concludes the business portion of this, and I'm gonna turn it on over to our new president, Sarah Fletcher. Thanks again for everything.
Good evening, and thank you for being here tonight. Thank you, Gary, for your work as president and for being really a great ambassador for the WBA. And I want to thank all the board members for all the work that they do. This is a volunteer-run organization with a dedicated board, and I appreciate the confidence in me, and I look forward to working with all of you. I was born and raised in Westford. I've seen it grow from the rural community of my childhood to the bustling suburb it is today. I've worked in nonprofits serving this community for going on 17 years. And working with the nonprofits has shown me the best of this business community. I've seen the generosity and the tenacity and the involvement from the businesses in this area and all that they contribute to the welfare and the quality of life for all the residents and all the commuters that come through town. But I'm sure, like me, you've asked yourself, what's the value in joining the Westford Business Association? And I've wrestled with quantifying and qualifying your return on investments for a civic organization for many years. And here's what I've come to understand. The value is in joining, in showing up, and participating. And sure, when you join, you get listed on the website, and you get the value of belonging to an established organization that builds some credibility in your business. But when you show up, you get free events like this one, maybe some free food, a free drink maybe at the holiday party on the 14th at Paul's Diner. And every now and again, you may even get a new customer or client. I'm sorry to say we don't have, you won't be earning any reward points or cash back or frequent buyer advantage, here, although there are some great member-to-member benefits on our website. But when you do participate consistently over time, the Westford Business Association will become a referral source. And you might not always associate a new client with a WBA because you may not ask. You might just think your social media skills are really coming to light. But it's a bigger part of your marketing and overall public relations program. It will also become a referral source to your associates and friends and family, and that over time you'll just know a guy or a gal that you can share a referral. But that doesn't add up on your bottom line either. But you've helped somebody else in the community, and there's a real value in that. It will also come in the form of a new friend, or a ride to the doctor's office, or a job for your kid, or a coffee when you need it. And those kinds of benefits are the community connections that are invaluable. It will also be a source of professional contacts, B2B support when your business or organization needs it. The more you participate, the deeper your relationships become. The WBA will become a go-to source of people that you know, you like, and you trust for doing business locally. The value in membership in the Westford Business Association is you and everyone in this room. You can't imagine, and I can't tell you all the benefits that can happen if you join, you show up, and you participate. When you get to know someone new or get to know someone better, the possibilities are endless. So thank you for being here, for being a member, and for being part of the Business Association and the business community of Westford. Thank you for joining, for showing up and participating. You are part of what makes Westford great, and together we contribute to the overall vitality of our own organization and also the town of Westford. So before I conclude and invite Gulshan up to handle the moderation of the presenters, I just want to remind you that we have a holiday party on December 14th at Paul's Diner. We have the annual town managers meeting on March 1st. If you'd like to offer a member-to-member discount on the website, please email me. And there's also a survey on our homepage that I would like you all to take. So if you just get a minute, it really literally only takes a moment to do that. So if you'd please link on the homepage and take the survey, that would be terrific. And so I'd like to just now conclude and bring Gulshan up. And Gulshan has a background in technology and operation. He's had 2 tech startups that he's worked with, but I think we all know him best, and because of him, he and his wife's business, Rangoli Grill, where they offer us all the healthy, fresh Indian cuisine. But what I admire most about what Rashmi and Gulshan have created was the way they became so enmeshed in the community so quickly. They opened up their business, they joined the chambers, they joined the Rotary, they came into the Westford Business Association as founding members, and they became that wonderful neighbor that I think has added to the community, it's added to their business, but I just loved watching them operate as the startup of their business. And now they're franchised and they're making that available as well. So I'm very pleased to welcome Gulshan up to moderate this next part of it and take us through the rest of the night. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, for those kind words. Good evening, everyone. We now come to the professional development part of this program, where hopefully we'll all walk away with some new information that we can all use in our various businesses. We have two very able speakers joining us today. Between them and the organizations that they represent, there is a wealth of resources available to businesses no matter what stage you're at in your venture. Our first speaker is Tom O'Donnell. He serves as the director of UMass Lowell's Innovation Hub. He is also a faculty member at UMass Lowell, teaching courses in new venture creation, managing innovation, corporate entrepreneurship, and strategic management. Tom has a master's degree in management from MIT, a master's degree in computer engineering from Boston University, and a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from WPI. And he's a local Westford resident. Our second speaker is Peter Farkas. He is the executive director of the Greater Lowell Workforce Development Board, which serves multiple towns and communities in the area, including Westford. Peter's professional career has focused on a very key element of any business, and that is human capital. Peter has earned an MBA from Suffolk University and a bachelor's degree from UMass Amherst. So the way we are structuring this is we will have Tom and Peter go through their presentations and their material, and then we will open it up to questions. We'll all have an opportunity to ask any questions of them. So let me turn it over to Tom to start us off. Tom?
Thank you. I don't want to be tied to the podium, so if I may, just walk around a bit. So thank you so much for the invitation to come and speak this evening. I do appreciate it, and the university as a whole appreciates it. Let me set the context first as to why I'm here. First off, I'm a 25-year resident of town. My wife and I and our 4 kids live down in Parker Village off of Griffin Road. I have a neighbor here. Where's Marcia? Raise your hand, Marcia. Lives right across the street for many, many years. There's a good story about that too, but we'll talk about that over drinks later. So over the summer, I got a call totally out of the blue from Joan Bennett. Joan is on the Westford Economic Development Committee, and she reached out. She said, hey, Tom, I'm reaching out to you because we're doing some work on the committee. There's a lot of committee members here this evening, and we just hear about the stuff going on at the university, at the Innovation Hub. We'd just like to come up and hear what's going on, get a better feel for what's going on. But before that, we'd like you to come in and speak to the committee. So I did, came in, gave them an update on what we're doing at the university more broadly, also at the Innovation Hub, and invited them to come up and see what we were doing. They came up several weeks back, and then Patty reached out and said, hey, Tom, we get this opportunity to come and speak to the Westford Business Association to give them an update on all the great stuff going on. So that's why I'm in here. It's a context more broadly, and I think the reason they asked is because what we're trying to do at the university, at the Innovation Hub, has a lot of relevance to what's going on here in town, specifically around economic development. The starting, the forming, the growing, the expansion of early stage companies, whether they be technology-based or more broadly, is in many ways a good engine for economic development, not the only one, but a good engine for economic development in the region. And there's a lot of it already going on here in Westford and more broadly. So what I'm going to try to do is paint what we're doing at the university in that broader context. So take a step back. I spent many, many years in industry, and about 4 years ago, had the opportunity to take a job teaching at the university, as was mentioned, around innovation, new venture creation, and other stuff at the Manning School of Business. That opportunity would not have been created if what had been going on at the university over the last 8 or 9 years hadn't taken place. And here's what happened. So Marty Meehan, who was our former president, came in back in 2008, and one of his missions was to move the university forward, not just to professionally train the students for careers in engineering, nursing, business, science, and all the other fine arts, humanities, social sciences, music, education, but to try to interject some innovation, entrepreneurship, economic development focus for the university overall. So what did that really mean? It meant that the university had to develop new programs, build new infrastructure, do more outreach from a broader community standpoint to connect to the organizations and institutions beyond that, and try to figure out what that really meant to provide opportunities for our students around innovation and entrepreneurship, to provide opportunities for our faculty and staff to take some of the work they're doing in the labs around research and other things, help them push that from research to prototype to potentially an opportunity to license that out to a large established company or to a startup who wants to take that, run with it, and move it forward. Also opportunities around economic development, helping the broader community organizations that were focused on that to leverage university resources to help them move their missions forward overall. So what does that mean for me? Well, 5-6 years ago, how many of you heard when Desh Deshpande partnered with the university to create, at the time, the Merrimack Valley Sandbox? How many of you heard about that? Okay, 5-6 years ago, and the mission of that was to drive community-based entrepreneurship in the region. Now, I was down working in Cambridge at the time. I knew Desh through some other organization and engagement opportunities down there. I caught him at an event. I said, Desh, I hear the great stuff you're going on. I'm a Merrimack Valley person. I really care about what's going on in the valley. How can I get involved? So he connected me, at the time, the executive director of the Sandbox, Todd Fry. He is no longer with the institution, but connected with Todd, got involved, did a bunch of volunteering, took part in a couple of programs, and at the same time, senior leaders at UMass Lowell were also getting involved. Jackie Maloney, who was our current chancellor, was then the executive vice chancellor at the university. Driving all this was her baby. Her number two in that was my current boss, Steve Tello, who was at the time was teaching in the business school, but Jackie grabbed him, pulled him over into her camp and said, I want you to help drive some of this stuff. Became the associate vice chancellor of economic development, of entrepreneurship and economic development. I met him through the Sandbox. He calls me about 4 years ago, says, hey Tom, I know what you're doing in the industry. Would you come in and guest lecture in one of my courses? I said, sure. That was back in the fall of 2012. I guess I did okay because he called me about 2 weeks later and said, Tom, would you be interested in teaching the entire course in the spring? I said, sure. Start teaching that course. About halfway through that, he said, would you be interested in teaching my summer course? And the reason being is he was being pulled to do more and more of this economic development stuff for Jackie and for the broader university overall. Push that forward to about 2.5 years ago. The university was investing in opportunities to expand more broadly our facilities around incubation and support of early stage technology companies. The one that already existed was M2D2. M2D2, Mass Medical Device Development Center, was specifically focused on medical devices. It started back in around 2008, give or take 2009, and again, very focused medical device. The opportunity more broadly to support companies in advanced materials, IT, sensors, robotics, advanced automation applied to manufacturing, all kinds of other opportunities weren't being addressed. So Jackie, Steve, with the support of Marty, the current chancellor at that time, said, we need to be doing more. And so they ginned up the opportunity around the Innovation Hub. 11,000 square foot, 110 Canal Street, in the Hamilton Canal District, right downtown in Lowell. So they reached out to me and said, Tom, would you be interested in being the director of those activities? I said, absolutely. So transition from full-time faculty, because I didn't mention, I was teaching that summer course, and the dean of the business school called me in, and I'm saying, okay, I did something wrong. She called me in and said, Tom, we'd like to bring you on full-time, to teach full-time. That lasted about not even a year before this other opportunity came up. So my focus now, even though I teach part-time, is around driving the opportunities around supporting and engaging with early stage companies, the entrepreneurs who are looking to form, grow, and expand those companies, whether they be students coming off campus, and we have 2 of those companies in the Innovation Hub right now, whether it be faculty members or postdocs who want to take the research that's coming out of the labs and drive that forward. There's some of them as well. Or companies in the broader region who want to take advantage of not only the space and the resources in the Innovation Hub, but because we are part of the university, they get access to, not for free, but at significantly reduced rates, a slew of other resources at the university. Other fabrication resources, testing resources, collaborations with faculty members, student interns, access to a wide variety of stuff, libraries, other facilities. And so the job of the team is to support them in any way we can and drive that forward. And hopefully, if we do our job correctly, and we not only provide the support, but connect them to the community, that once they grow beyond our ability to support them with the space we have, because we target companies from like 1 to 4, 1 to 5, from a member standpoint, that when they grow and expand, they stay local, either in Lowell or in the surrounding community. Hence the discussion with the Economic Development Committee here in Westford. Is there an opportunity to potentially figure out how to create a way to leverage the investment being made by the university and create opportunity for Westford and the surrounding communities? And there absolutely is. Whether it be additional programs, whether it be focusing on opportunities that are specific for Westford, with the companies that are here in town, Red Hat, NetScout, other companies, Juniper, and others who are here in town, or the startups that are here more broadly. Now, we strongly believe, and it's already been proven out, that there's already a lot of entrepreneurs doing it in the region, but they're probably doing it in their basement, in their spare bedroom, in their garage. So what also we're trying to do is get them to come out of what they're doing at home and be part of that community at the Innovation Hub, and more broadly, leverage the resources and be part of that community. And we have 3 of those firms already in the iHub. One of them, independent entrepreneur, was up in Andover, heard about what we were doing, came down, had 3 opportunities that he was looking at. Came in about 2 years ago, 18 months ago, picked the one he wanted to run with. Right now, he started with 1 person. He has 4 people on his team. They're growing, they're expanding. They're going to stay at the Innovation Hub probably for another 6 to 8 months, but at some point, he needs more space. Another company that's in there right now, 4 entrepreneurs. They work from home most of the time. One lives in Concord, one lives, I think, here in Westford, one lives in southern New Hampshire, and another one, I believe, in like Billerica. They come up, they use the space 2 days a week. The team gets together. That's where they do their teamwork. That's also where they bring their investors, their customers, their large strategic partners in, because it's hard to bring a large strategic partner to your home, to your bedroom, to your basement. Okay, it doesn't work. I invite you all to come see the space. And I think the team would agree, the space is beautiful, and it's positioned to provide that very professional look and feel for those companies so they can be proud of their address. And most of them have 110 Canal Street, third floor, as their business address. Actually, they all do, quite frankly. And that's what we're trying to do. Currently have 35 companies in 11,000 square feet of space. We're almost at capacity at this point. We're looking to figure out what's next. What's next is partially, we just opened up a second space in Haverhill, downtown Haverhill. It's also under my purview, 11,000 square feet, very similar to what we're doing at 110 Canal Street. And we're growing, we're expanding. We're looking to partner with large companies, the communities in the region, other nonprofits and others, and just figure out how we can all work together to not only support the entrepreneurs here in the region, but, and this is key, pull some more of the entrepreneurs who live out here, but who think they have to drive into Boston and Cambridge all the time. And I don't know who of you drive into there often. I go in there probably once or twice a week. Any time of day, any day of week is friggin' horrible, okay? It can be 45 minutes, maybe, but that's very seldom. It's usually an hour and a half to 2 hours, whether you're going to Cambridge or try to get to the Innovation District down on the waterfront. Good luck to you. And that's where Boston is investing so much time and effort. We have already a handful of companies who are looking to come out this way and do that. We tie into other organizations like Mass Challenge, the Mass Clean Energy Center, Mass Development, all these organizations that are focused on this very thing. We have strong relationships, we're working with them, and we're leveraging those relationships to also support the companies. So with that, again, I invite everybody to come up, see what we're doing. I have some brochures. If you can pass those out. On the brochure, on the back is the contact information. Lisa Armstrong, our assistant director at the Innovation Hub. She's the real power player in the relationship. She's the one who knows everything, gets it all done. I also have some business cards here, which again, reach out, learn more about what we're doing, get tied in. There's lots going on. And if you have some ideas on other stuff that collectively, in collaboration, we can do to help drive the economic development here in the region, because that's something that our current Chancellor, Jackie Maloney, my boss, Steve Tello, and me, we all believe that part of our mission as a public institution of higher ed that gets a significant amount of funding from the state, not as much as we would like traditionally, but more and more from Mass Development, the Governor's Office, and others, because they see the impact that we're having around economic development, that we have not just an interest, but an obligation in participating and contributing back to all the stuff that we're doing here in the region. So again, invite you to reach out, and please come up and see what we're doing. And with that, if there are any questions.
So, thank you very much, Tom. As you can see, there are a number of resources that are available to you at the iHub, and I would again encourage you, just to reinforce Tom's message, to utilize those resources, perhaps starting with a visit there. What I would like to do is actually have Peter come up and talk to us about a whole different dimension in terms of running your business, which is the human capital. And when Peter has gone through his material, then we will open it up to questions for both of them. So, Peter, did you want to use that? Yeah. Yeah. Please be careful with the wires here. Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me? Okay. First off, thank you for having me tonight. Just a little context, that's a good idea. So Patty, I guess, is well known because I'm here because of Patty as well. So I started at the Greater Lowell Workforce Development Board in June, so I'm relatively new to the position. And Jay Linehan from the Greater Lowell Community Foundation said Patty would be a good person to talk to. We met for coffee at Panera, and I just gave her a little overview of what we do, and she said, hey, you should come speak to the Westford Business Association. So here am I. The purpose of me being here tonight is to kind of give you an overview of the public workforce development system, the public workforce system, and hopefully you'll leave here tonight knowing about the resources and opportunities available to you. Just a show of hands, has anybody ever heard of a workforce investment board, development board? A couple people. Okay, and the career center system? Okay, so that's a few of you, about, I'd say like 20%. So everybody should have on their chair a handout which will kind of guide my conversation, but it's also for you to take back with you, so you have the websites, my contact information, to reach out to me after this event, and I can point you in the right direction if there's anything that interests you. So I'm going to give a kind of a broad overview of the workforce system, and in terms of the resources and opportunities available to businesses of all sizes, so whether it's startups or multinational companies as well. So it's we have a variety of resources available. So the first thing is across the Commonwealth, there's 16 workforce areas. So Westford falls in Greater Lowell, which also includes Tewksbury, Billerica, Chelmsford, Dracut, Tingsboro. So it's a small area. And the reason there's 16 of them is we have local control in terms of each economy is different. So the economy in Greater Lowell is different than, say, Boston or the Berkshires or even Springfield or the Cape. So we as a local workforce board kind of develop policies, and we want to use the public funds as best available. So that's why there's 16, and the Greater Lowell one is relatively small in size and in geographic area compared to others. Our main purpose is to make sure we're utilizing public dollars properly. So one of the things we do is we organize partnerships around industry that we look, so a lot of it is labor market driven. So we're looking at where is the demand currently within the region and in the future. So just an example of a partnership we developed based off of demand that we heard from businesses and industry. We formed an organization or a consortium called the Northeast Advanced Manufacturing Consortium, which involves from Cambridge up to Westford, all the way over to Salem and down. So basically the whole northeast of the region. So we had heard from manufacturers in that whole region that they were having trouble finding people. The term they were throwing around, this is back in 2012, was silver tsunami. So they foresaw that their workforce was aging out and they were going to be retiring, and they didn't see younger people entering the field, for a variety of reasons. One, there's misconceptions about the industry. Two, there wasn't necessarily training available prior to get them into the door. So we developed this consortium that involved 4 community colleges, 4 Voc schools, 4 workforce investment boards, 6 career centers, and over the last 5 years, we've put in training an estimate around like 200 people in CNC machining and electronic assembly, with about an 85% placement rate at a starting wage of about $16, $17 an hour. So that consortium evolved as a result of hearing from businesses. So the point being, as a workforce board and a workforce system, we're looking to hear feedback from industry in terms of what are your openings? Where do you foresee the job need? Is there pipeline development necessary? Where do you foresee the need? What are the skills you're looking for in employees? Is there a training program we can develop that will fill your current needs or even the potential needs? So one of the things the workforce system does is we have training dollars to put people in training, whether they're unemployed. After the recession, we saw there was which we call mature workers, mature workers, some people would say is as young as 40, which is a little crazy, or 50. I'm not 40, but it's pretty young. But we're trying to see is like where the public dollars, we don't want to put someone into a training program, and there's training programs across the region where they go through a training program, and then as a business, they come to your door and they're applying for a position, and then the credential or whatever training program they went through doesn't mean anything to you. So we basically, what's the purpose of putting that person in training? So we want to hear back from the businesses. Well, what are your needs, and what are you looking for in a potential employee? Whether it's a certain credential, and then we can develop training programs similar to the NAMC, the manufacturing program. One of the main one opportunity I wanted to bring up to the group is this workforce training fund. Are people familiar with it? Just a show of hands. A couple people. Okay. So the reason I'm bringing this up is the Workforce Training Fund was established in 1998 when unemployment insurance contributions were reduced. So any business that contributes to the unemployment pool can apply for a Workforce Training Fund grant, which I'll get involved and explain in a little bit more detail. So basically, as a business, you're contributing about 0.056% of the first $15,000 of every employee's salary, or $8.40 per worker per year, to this fund. So overall, across the state, it's about $18 million a year is available to businesses to apply for. Most businesses in industry just don't know about it, that they're actually contributing to this fund, and it's an opportunity to apply for a grant, which is we as a workforce board can assist you with. So I'm just going to kind of give an overview of it, and then we can, if you're interested, you can follow up with me after. So there is a focus on this, and it's for your incumbent workers. So if you have somebody you have a group of people that you want to upskill and get retrain, not necessarily retrain them, but improve their skills, and maybe leads to them moving up within your company, that's the purpose of the program. So there's three type of grants, and I'm not an expert in all three grants. So any specific questions, I refer you to the website. But the three are general, express, and direct access. So the general grant is the most common grant. And the grants are between $10,000 to $250,000 to train workers. So that's the most common one. I think last year, of the 18 million, 14 million went towards those type of grants. I can give you some examples of company. It's public knowledge who received these grants in our workforce area. So in Westford, within the last 4 years, there has only been one company, and that was A1 Auto Inc. I don't know if anybody knows A1 Auto Inc. They received a grant in 2017, so this year, for $176,258 to train 97 of their employees in lean principles. There's more to it than what they were training them in, but $176,000 is quite a big chunk of change. So that was the only one I could find in Westford over the last 4 years, but I'll give you some examples in the surrounding towns. Bill Ricca, in Bill Ricca there was 4. I think they're all within this last year, and I hope I'm pronouncing these right. Axon Technologies, they received $100,000 to train 93 workers. E-Inc. Corporation in Billerica, which this was just awarded last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, $195,770 to train 307 employees. Pion, P-I-O-N, Inc. was $34,000 to train 16, so that's a smaller one. In Chelmsford, Massachusetts Eye Associates was awarded $69,280 to train 16 workers. So those are just examples of local companies, while they're not necessarily in Westford, but they took advantage of this opportunity. And there's a variety of, so basically, if you apply for a grant, you're training people. So there's a variety of, if you're interested in, let's say, like Middlesex Community College to train people, or if you have a training provider you're interested in, you would write them in the grant, and you have to explain, what's the purpose of the training. But that's where the Workforce Board can assist you. The other thing I wanted to mention about the Workforce Training Fund is Middlesex Community College holds pretty in-depth 2-hour information sessions, which goes into all the detail about the programs. The next current one, actually, it's funny, I looked yesterday, and I think there was one November 8th, like in Lowell, at the campus in Lowell. The next local one is on the January 17th at Middlesex and Bedford. So if you're interested in going and learning way more in depth and detail, and that's a 2-hour, if you just Google Workforce Training Fund, Middlesex, it'll come right up. And then I think they would like you to pre-register, but that's a suggestion I would make. So these are just on the notes. There's certain types of training. I just listed some of them. It's way more broader than this, but project management, sales, lean, continuous improvement, Six Sigma, customer service. So anywhere you see a need within your company in terms of if there's a gap that is missing and you need to upskill your employees, this could be a potential opportunity. The next thing I just wanted to talk about was the Career Center of Lowell. So the Workforce Board, where I am the director, we oversee the operations of the Career Center. So the Career Center of Lowell is located in downtown Lowell, right on Merrimack Street. Actually, my office is right above them. And I just want to let people know about some of the services they have available to businesses, most of which are free of cost to all businesses. The first thing is it's free to post job openings on what we call Job Quest. So it's just the way I look at it, it's just another way, if you have job openings, to get word out. So the Career Center last year saw exactly 6,220 job seekers. So that's 6,000 people that would have access to view those job postings, which is free of cost. It shouldn't be your sole source of how you're trying to get job openings, but it's free. Whether you're using Indeed or whatever, your website, or whatever ways you're going about filling positions, I would just advocate that that's another way of getting the word about your job postings. The second one is job fairs. So the Career Center holds job fairs, I'd say at least quarterly. The next one actually being next Tuesday at the Radisson in Chelmsford. So there is a slight cost to businesses. I don't know the exact cost. You can follow up with me on that. But it's not a hefty cost, like maybe a couple $100, something like that. So word gets out. Every summer we have one at the Lowell Spinners Stadium that draws, I think, 600 people at least, 600-700 people. So that's another resource. The other couple of resources are, of those 6,000 people that come through the center, we receive some information about them. So it's their past history, work history, job history, and some of the skills they may have. So we have an ability to pre-screen people. So it's if you send a job description to us, we can screen people through our database that all these people are in. If you say, I want somebody with a certain technical skill, we have that ability to just kind of screen people out. So we wouldn't be just sending you someone off the street that has so we're basically not wasting your time. So the person is screened out before they get to your door. The next thing, which is youth. We have a lot of youth activities going on. We go into the local high schools. We're not at Westford Academy. We're at a lot of other schools except for Westford Academy. We're at Lowell High, Chelmsford High, Tewksbury. But if you're interested, I know a lot of businesses are interested in whether it's a job shadow, and you may already be doing this with Westford. But if it's a job shadow, we have speaker panels all the time. If you company tours, stuff like that. If you're interested in doing that, please feel free to reach out. Going back to just the Workforce Board where I work, I report to a board of directors, which it has to be 51% private sector. So if anybody's interested in being involved on the Workforce Board, feel free to reach out. We're trying, as part of my job, is I want to make sure that we represent all the different industries. But also, we're not just Lowell-centric. So some people think, well, we're in Lowell, we're just based on Lowell, and we just work with Lowell, and that's not the case. Like I said, our region is these 9 communities, Westford being one, and I want to make sure we're representing Westford and same thing, and like I said, all the different industries as well. And then real quickly, some people have the conception or misconception that the Career Center just works with the lower skilled, not highly educated people. And I just want to give you guys some numbers just so you know the people that are utilizing the Career Center. So like I said, last year, 6,200 people utilized the center, 39% of which had a bachelor's degree, 46% had at least an associate's, and 64% had at least some level of college. Of the 60, well, not necessarily of the 6,200 people, but of people utilizing the Career Center, 1,372 people actually entered employment at an average wage of $28.13. So that's a pretty good starting wage. 412 employers/businesses utilized our services, and 201 employers listed their job postings within the Career Center. So, like I said, this is all free of charge for everybody. So it's just another resource that I feel is underutilized, and sometimes it's just because word isn't out there, and that's part of my job is coming out, speaking to events like this to get word out about the services and about the system that's available to businesses, whether it's a startup or, like I said, Kronos, for example. So I think that wraps everything up.
I'd like to give a round of applause to our speakers, Tom and Peter. As you saw, they gave some very basic information about their organizations. Now it's up to each of you to take advantage of that and connect with them. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Sarah to close out the event.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Tom and Peter and Gulshan, for handling that. And thank you all for coming tonight. Look forward to seeing you at Paul's Diner on the 14th of December for Holiday Social. Hope you all make it there. Thank you very much. Have a great night. We have the room for another half an hour, so network.